So another season of the IPL is upon us, and Indian fans are ready to dig into the extravaganza, especially in the afterglow of the Champions Trophy victory. Now, Ayaz, we won't be doing a team-by-team preview because everyone and their uncle has done it. So instead, we'll be focusing on this new batch of captains, 5 of them who want to lead their team to victory, to a title. So let's start one by one. We'll start with the defending champions, KKR, who brought in veteran Ajinkya Rahane as captain, thereby squashing rumours that the job would go to Venkatesh Iyer, who they doled out a lot of money for in the auction. Now, we know that KKR is one of the better run teams in the IPL and they won the title thrice, but what goes into making such a move, and how do you think Rahane will go?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. Look, I think this tournament is going to be, or this edition of the IPL is going to be defined by the role that captains play for each of their franchises. I mean, we saw last year the change which happened at Mumbai Indians, Hardik Pandya taking over from Rohit Sharma, and the team didn't fare well at all. So, I mean, Hardik Pandya was no spring chicken. He had won the IPL title for Gujarat Titans when he was at the helm, but it didn't work out. So, this is a fairly interesting, kind of change that KKR have implemented. After Shreyas left, it seemed that Venkatesh Iyer was the man to take over, but it didn't happen. Now, obviously, they've got their reasons. I think they've plumped for experience going ahead with, their formula seems to be, let's go with the tried and trusted guys, not necessarily with themselves, but also who've done reasonably well in the IPL in the past. Now, Rahane doesn't have great captaincy experience except for a couple of seasons or something with Rajasthan Royals, pretty undistinguished. But they've plumped for guys like Sunil Narayan, Andre Russell. They keep, they're putting their faith and trust in these veterans, and then hoping that along with the youngsters who are there in the squad, they'll be able to kind of recreate the magic which happened last year with Shreyas Iyer at the helm, Mitchell Stark amongst the bowlers, and Narayan and Russell. So I think that seems to be the logic as I read it.
Yeah, so coming to the man that KKR did have to let go, Shreyas Iyer, now he takes up the same responsibility, this time at Punjab Kings, where he also rejoins Ricky Ponting. They had a sort of a successful partnership at the Delhi Capitals. They made the 2020 final together. But we know that Punjab Kings are a franchise who like to push the reset button once every 2 years or so, and they've done so again. Now, what do you think is different about the side this time?
Well, I mean, apart from the fact that they've got a winning captain at the helm, which is always an advantage, Shreyas Iyer, and he's hungry for more success. They've got Ricky Ponting, who must be doubly hungry because he didn't achieve much at Delhi Capitals. He was there for a few seasons, and everybody thought that he'll deliver a couple of titles. It didn't happen. So both of them together can make a formidable combo as captain and coach. But having said that, you're right. I mean, the Punjab Kings seem to push the reset button almost every year consistently. So that seems to me to be a big issue for the franchise, because they always, every season, seem to be a fairly unsettled team. They've got some players like Maxwell, etc., match winners like them. Arshdeep Singh is there. But I think it's going to be a pretty tough task for Ponting as well as, and certainly for Shreyas Iyer, to get everybody into the swing of things and look for winning the title, because that's not going to be easy. As I keep saying, there's very little to choose between all 10 teams in the IPL. The difference is very marginal in terms of talent and experience and all of that. So it's how you gel, how the captains respond, how the players respond to the captain. That is really of the essence.
Yeah, so Shreyas Iyer, for those who don't know, was the second most expensive buy in the IPL mega auction. The most expensive buy was Rishabh Pant, our next captain. Now, he went for, I think, 27 crore. Now, he takes up the captaincy responsibility at LSG. Now, this is an interesting story, Ayaz, because we remember how their last captain, KL Rahul, was treated, even on camera. And after his exit, now he's gone over to Delhi. They've brought in Rishabh Pant, and the owner has made a big deal out of getting Rishabh Pant. He even held a press conference to show off his new shiny toy. Now, my question is, what happens in case Pant with this price tag doesn't deliver the results that they want to? Do you think we see a repeat of last year?
I mean, different personalities, Rishabh Pant and KL Rahul. So who knows? I mean, Rishabh Pant, you talked about the franchise owner, LSG, but also the way Pant himself has been spinning off reels on Insta and other social media platforms about what how he sees his appointment and his role at the new franchise is interesting, to say the least. Having said that, look, also the burden of expectation will be very heavy on Rishabh Pant as a batsman and a match-winning batsman, and also as a captain, as a leader, hoping to take his team to the final and perhaps even win the title. It didn't happen along with Ricky Ponting at Delhi Capitals. So he's got a point to prove too, Rishabh Pant. But he's got some very, heavy-duty arsenal at his disposal. Nicholas Puran, Rishabh Pant himself, David Miller, three explosive left-handers who are there. They've got a whole array of bowlers who are all of Indian origin largely, barring a Shamar Joseph. They've got Ravi Bishnoi. They've got some problems with their pace attack right now because a lot of them are in the NCA and rehab. So again, how well they gel together. And Rishabh Pant obviously needs to pick up his own form. I mean, we're only judging him by what happened in the Test series. He didn't play in the Champions Trophy, but he needs to get cracking from the word go, because that's the best way to let or make the team players, all the other players, respond to his commands and decisions and whatever else he needs to do as captain.
Yeah, so moving on to the two fresh first-time captains, and we'll start off with Rajat Patidar, who has taken the responsibility at RCB, and it was thought to be a sort of a left field pick, but they've invested a lot in this young man, and obviously he'll rely heavily on the experience of Virat Kohli, but of course there'll be pressure. Do you think, given that he's leading a franchise that has such a wonderful fan base who hasn't won for 17 years, do you think that puts added pressure on him, or does he go into it saying that I have nothing to lose?
I think the pressure will be enormous. I mean, the fact of being a captain of a franchise in the IPL is in itself, an onerous task. And then you've got the backdrop to it that you've never won a title. Patidar himself has been attached to the franchise for a few years now. So obviously the pressure will be high. But I'm interested in what Kohli says. Kohli in a recent talk to the media said that Patidar is the next big thing, perhaps in Indian cricket, not just in franchise cricket. So he's reposing a lot of faith in his new captain. Kohli himself must be hungry as hell, not having won the title. He's the league's highest scorer, run aggregate. Kohli is number one, but he has no title to show for it as yet. And they've, in the mega auction and the rejig, they've also offloaded players like Mohammad Siraj, Faf du Plessis, Glenn Maxwell. So some of the pillars of the team. What they've got instead are, fully fit Josh Hazelwood. They've got Krunal Pandya, which is an interesting buy because he's a very fine all-rounder in this format. They've got Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who can be an asset, though I don't know on the small grounds in the Chinnaswamy Stadium, which kind of it can be murderous for fast bowlers over there. And then they've got, they've also got. Who have they got? They've got Liam Livingston, who could be a match winner. We haven't seen enough of his all-round prowess, which everybody talks of highly, but it's not been evident so far in the IPL. So they've got a decent team, but they'll have to do all the hard running if they want to win the title this time. They entered the knockout stage last year. They finished fourth. They couldn't go beyond. So they'll need some really good performances from all these players that I've mentioned.
Yeah, and our last captain. Now, Delhi Capitals, we thought the story would be that KL Rahul comes over from LSG and becomes captain automatically. But God knows this man has enough on his plate, and he seemed to have opted out. And Axar Patel has stepped up. Now, Axar Patel has been stepping up for the last year or so for India in the white ball formats. He's been part of 2 successful ICC trophy winning campaigns, and he'll be hungry to prove a point. So, what do you think of this Delhi Capitals under Axar Patel?
Well, it's a very interesting choice, Axar Patel. As you mentioned, he's made rapid strides, in whatever format he's played in. He was originally the understudy to Ravindra Jadeja. Now he's his equal. Sometimes in matches that we've seen in the Champions Trophy and elsewhere, even in the World T20, perhaps he's exceeded the performances of Ravindra Jadeja. Having said that, being an all-rounder is, the expectations were that if he doesn't deliver with the bat, he'll deliver with the ball, and vice versa. So that can take a lot, it can take the mickey out of an all-rounder. We saw what happened with Ravindra Jadeja when he was made captain of CSK. It didn't work out well for him at all, and he had to kind of relinquish the job halfway through, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni took over again. So, Axar Patel, this is obviously a big boost for him as a player, as a cricketing personality in India, leading the Delhi Capitals team. But there's a lot of, he'll have to do a lot of things right for Delhi Capitals to do something which they've not succeeded in doing so far, which is to win the title.
Yeah, so there you have it. You have Ayaz's thoughts on our new captains. And before we go, we know that the focus is on the IPL right now, and rightly so. But India do have an England series, Test series coming up right after the IPL. And given their woes in the Test format recently, how much of a factor do you think IPL performance will be? Because India will need a lot of technically sound batsmen there, but not necessarily, you can't judge that from T20s, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of a dilemma for the selectors, isn't it? I mean, you have nothing between the IPL and the England Test series, which is in England, apart from a couple of games which may be scheduled when the tour begins. So there's not much to go by when you're looking at Test match team composition, unless you go back to what happened in Australia and what happened against New Zealand, and both series were lost and were very disappointing. And what it showed up, or what it threw up, those defeats, is the absence of players in the middle order or in the top order, stretching right up to number 5 or number 6, who could play red ball cricket with a degree of assurance and technical skill. And especially in daunting conditions like will be obtained in England, I think they need a couple of players, at least one, if not two, who will shore up the batting. Now, who are these players likely to be? I think you have to go back to past performers or somebody who's done really well in the domestic season now. Domestic season, I think, belonged in many ways to Karun Nair. So selectors would have to keep, they can't ignore him when they're choosing the Test team for England. And then otherwise there is Ajinkya Rahane, who's been a good performer, especially overseas. And then there's Cheteshwar Pujara, who's also been a very good performer overseas and has played 2 or 3 seasons of county cricket in England and done so successfully. Now, Ajinkya Rahane and Karun Nair both have got a lifeline in this IPL, in the sense that Karun is playing for Delhi Capitals and Ajinkya is going to captain KKR. He was unsold in the first round in the auction. Pujara, poor chap, doesn't even have an IPL contract, so you can't judge him at all. So this is going to be how they tackle this. Ajit Agarkar and company remains to be seen. But I think you cannot just ignore these 3 guys summarily. Maybe there are some other guys also, but these are 3 names that come to my mind who, in my opinion, are in the running for places in the squad, in the Test squad for England.
Yeah, so that selection headache will unfold in the coming weeks, and the IPL of course starts tomorrow, and we'll come back to you after the weekend. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.